Oh, yes. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday afternoon. We just had the UFC Vegas 88 weigh-ins complete here. We've got most of these fights on. We did have a couple people look like absolute death on the scale, but here we are. UFC Vegas 88, 13 fights scheduled. We are looking for ways to cash off of some bets that we're going to make here, and I'm putting together a greasy four-leg parlay for you guys today that is going to take some of my favorite spots, put them all together, and we're going to be looking at something that's going to cash in around plus 640 if it hits. So come along with me. I've got my banners ready. I've got everything ready for you guys here today. And the first leg that we're going to do for this parlay is going to be the over 2.5 rounds for Jacqueline Amari versus Cory McKenna. That is at minus 200 on DraftKings Sportsbook right now. Let me share my screen with you guys. And if we go over here to UFC and we go to the Amari McKenna fight, it's going to be right there on the main page, 02.5 at minus 200. So if we go to the prop template that I have here, which is not open on the screen, but we could take a look at the prior experience of these two ladies, especially at that over 2.5 mark. Both of Jacqueline Amari's UFC fights have went over 2.5 rounds. And for Cory McKenna, it's 3 of 4. So that's 5 of 6 total fights, or over 83% of their total UFC experience is going over 2.5 rounds. The only fight that finished under 2.5 rounds was when Cory McKenna finished Miranda Granger with a Von Flue choke in the second round. Now, Amari could be live for a submission here. She is a phenomenal, high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. When she gets you on the ground, her ability to be able to finish fights while there is top-notch. It's elite. However, Cory McKenna is the better wrestler in this spot. And when wrestlers face Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighters, what we usually see is the wrestler winning the minutes and controlling the ground positions. Neither one of these ladies has any knockout power on the feet. So I'm looking for this fight to cruise over 2.5 rounds unless Jacqueline Amari locks up some kind of a submission early in this fight, which I don't think is particularly likely. So if we go to DraftKings here, we put this one in over 2.5 rounds, leg number 1, Amari versus McKenna. We're going over for this one. The next leg is going to be, this is something that I just added today, the Mike Davis versus Natan Levy fight does not go to decision. This is plus money right now, and Natan Levy looked like death warmed over on the scales. I have never seen anyone move that slow walking to and from that scale, and he doesn't look good in this spot. In addition, I also feel like Mike Davis is better than Natan everywhere. He's the better striker. He's the better athlete. He's taller. He's longer. He's got more power. He's the better wrestler. And he is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt like Natan is. So I don't really know where Natan wins this fight. And after seeing him look absolutely awful on the scales, this is more like a de facto Mike Davis inside the distance bet. Plus 130, fight doesn't go to decision. For this one is a great look, in my opinion. Mike Davis is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I think he's going to win this fight and win it dominantly. Now, seeing Natan on the scale and seeing him look as compromised as he was, I do think there's a very high probability that Mike finishes this fight inside the distance. So let's put the fight does not go to decision. If we scroll up to the top here to fight props and we go down to Levy versus Davis, the no is plus 130. That brings our 2-leg parlay up here to plus 245. Leg number 3 is going to be the under 2.5 rounds in the Dgeren versus Rodriguez fight. Isaac Dgeren has 6 professional fights and 4 amateur fights. All 10 of those combined fights are wins for Isaac Dgeren. All 10 are finishes for Isaac Dgeren. All 10 of those finishes coming in round number 1. So even though we know Isaac is a high-level wrestler, high school and college, folk, freestyle, Greco-Roman wrestling, this guy has it all. The one thing we have to worry about is that the guy has never seen a second round. So if this fight gets out of the first round, Christian Rodriguez is somebody that's looked really good in spots especially after he survives an early storm like he did against Jonathan Pierce at 145 when he made his UFC debut, like he did in the Raul Rosas Jr. fight where he had his back taken and lost the first round in a dominant way and came back and was the one getting on top and landing the better shots. He wound up winning that fight as well. Christian Rodriguez has got a very slick submission game on the ground, and I see this fight taking place on the ground quite a bit. And Isaac Dulgarian's top control, ground and pound ability to be able to finish fights early has me thinking that whether or not this fight finishes in the first round, that there's a very high probability that it doesn't go to the third because of all the unknowns on the Dulgarian side in regards to his striking, his conditioning, and what he looks like outside of round two, going up against somebody like Rodriguez, who has went up against a couple of these hype jobs. And Dulgarian is a hype job right now, as far as we know, because we just don't know anything more than the 6 fights and 12 and a half minutes of pro cage time that he's had up to this point. So I am liking violence in this spot. I think the under 2.5 rounds here at minus 115 is severely underpriced. That brings our parlay up to... We go back to fight lines here on top. We're going to scroll down to Rodriguez here, the under 2.5 rounds. That brings us up to plus 545 on the 3-leg parlay. And you guys know I like to end up the parlay on the fattest leg so that if we cash the first 3, we can hedge out on the 4th and guarantee ourselves profit. And what better way to do that than to just throw in Kennedy and Chekhu's money line at minus 700 here? Yes, it's way overpriced. Yes, Ovin St. Preux is completely washed and looks like a shadow of himself. Yes, he's probably just showing up for a check. And yeah, Kennedy gets the job done, but let's not even mess with the inside the distance, which is like 330. Let's just put his money line in there at minus 700. That brings our 4-leg parlay up to 637, plus 637 on DraftKings Sportsbook. On Bet Rivers Sportsbook, it's plus 636. So it's basically the same on both books this week. I don't know. This is a weird card. I don't like a lot of money lines here. I only have one money line in here, and it's the widest money line on the card. But I think Mike Davis inside the distance is a great look, especially after seeing Natan Levy on the scale. I love the over 2.5 rounds here for the McKenna versus Amari fight. And I really do think that Dulgarian versus Rodriguez, leg number 3, is one that's going to finish inside the distance one way or another. But we could see Isaac Dulgarian continuing on that path that he's on, which has just been dominant. It's been one-sided. He's looked incredible thus far, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he performs against somebody who has been that guy who has shown some people that were performing very well at the UFC level that Christian Rodriguez can stop that streak for you, and that he's the type of fighter that can hype check just about anybody that isn't as experienced or well-rounded as he is. So I am loving this spot. Comes out to plus 637 on DraftKings Sportsbook. We hit 3 out of 4 legs last week, and Jailton Almeida was the sole leg that let us down, and he was winning after round 1, but got caught in round 2, and now we got to bounce back and hit this one. What is up with you guys in the chat here? Who's hanging out with me today? We got Jeff Bruno checking in, saying Florida man blessing us with a greasy parlay. We got Labyrinth UFC Breakdown in the room saying how we doing. We're doing great. Sunny Florida. You can see it right behind me here. The sun is in the air. I'm going golfing with my dad in about a half hour. We're going to get out on the links, enjoy the sun, enjoy the weather, and then I'm going to go back to freezing cold Chicago with all the sadness and all the crime and all the gray skies, but I'm going to enjoy it while I'm down here. We got Jester in the room saying, I think Battle was playing possum, trying to make it look like he had a bad cut. Dude, if he was playing possum, he might have a career in acting going forward, because he looked god awful on that scale. I don't know how he survives it. And that's how he always looks, though. Ever since he started cutting from 185 down to 170, this is a young man who has looked like death warmed over every single time on the scale. So he might be trying to play possum, but man, he did not look good up there. But that's how he always looks. So I'm not really surprised that that's what he looked like today. We got my guy Rob Pagorni saying, let's get this one, Unc. Good to see you, Rob. Hope all is well in Chicago today, my man. We got Teron Brown saying, what's going on, MMA family? What's up, Uncle? He says, oh, yes, let's get it, Teron. Another Chicagoan hanging out with us here today. We got Indigo Ginzo in the room saying, Weezy. And saying, nice seeing you again, Teron. I remember you from the early MMA Joey and Jake Gerber chats. Wow, that is a long time ago. And one of my guys from way back in the day, Chris for the Love MMA in the room saying, Unc, glad to see you still being the man with the stats. Respect. Good to see you hanging out in here, Chris. I hope all is going well for you, brother. We got Underlying Dream in the room, another guy that I know well here saying, oi, happy Friday. Enjoy our beautiful weather down here. Let's make some money. Yes, I'm going to be enjoying the weather down here in Florida, my man. It's going to be a good one today out on the golf course in Fort Myers. We got Indigo Ginzo saying Weezy should be doing these breakdowns for the UFC. His analysis is almost always on point. Dude, I appreciate you, Indigo. Yeah, maybe one day. You never know. You never know. But right now, the UFC is in really good hands with the people that they have working for them. They got a great crew there. So you never know, though, man. Maybe one of these days they will ask their Uncle Weezy to come there and talk about the statistical breakdowns and plus EV bets available on these cards. I appreciate the kind words, Indigo. It means a lot, man. We got Joe Free in the room saying, Uncle Weezy, what's up, brother? Good to see you hanging out in here, man. We got Indigo saying, I won my fantasy league multiple times thanks to Weezy. Truly appreciate you, man. That's awesome. I'm glad when I can help out other people with all the stats and the analysis that I provide here. We got Zach saying, what's up, Weezy? We got PSSA31 saying Macy looked good. And I actually said that out loud because Macy is really big for the division. So I always say, let's wait to see what Macy looks like on the scale before we do anything with her fights. She looked phenomenal today. She looked on point. That weight cut looked to have went really well, and she's huge for the division. I think she's very underrated as well. This is the first time in the last 4 fights that I've seen the odds makers actually show Macy Chiasson some respect. So I don't think the price is as good this time around as it was the last few, but Macy looked great on the scale, and I think she definitely gets the job done tomorrow. We got Jeff saying, is this the first time Macy has been in great shape? I don't know if it's the first time that she's been in great shape, but I will tell you, she has a hard cut every time. So I've seen her look good before, but I've also seen her be the last to the scale, be really slow walking up there and really look like she had a tough cut. It did not look like this time. Look like that this time. So I'm looking for Macy to have a great performance on Saturday. Yeah, I know. And Zach saying, bro, Levy looked like his organs were failing. Dude, when they asked him to take off his necklace, it looked like he was saying that that's too much for him to do at that point. I think Levy's getting finished. I already thought that Mike Davis was going to run through Natan Levy. And after the way he looked on the scales today, I'm feeling a lot more confident about that read. Yeah, plus 165 on Davis inside the distance. Jump on it. I just took the plus 130. Fight doesn't go. Got a little bit less greedy there, but seeing Natan Levy get a finish here is probably a very, very low probability, seeing how he looked on the scale today. So plus 130 fight doesn't go. Plus 165 Davis inside the distance. I think they're both great looks this week. We got my guy Cody in the room saying, let's go, Uncle Weezy. You're going to smash this 4-legger. Let's get it, dude. We got my guy Randy in the room saying, brother Weezy, let's cash. Scales never fails. No, it does not. Good to see you hanging out, Randy. Let's cash this one. And we got my guy Dixon in the room. Prophet Weezy. Sorry I'm late, but who missed weight today? Levy missed weight by a half pound. I don't know if he went back to cut more, but looking at him, I would suggest that the doctors probably made him stop cutting and he can just miss by a half pound and maybe get 20% of his purse taken. But other than that, I don't remember seeing anybody miss. But then again, I got to get out to the golf course, so the weigh-ins weren't completely over with yet. But the only one that I saw that looked horrible and missed was Levy. And then Brian Battle looked very, very bad. But he always does. I think that guy just cuts way too much weight, so he always looks bad on the scales. And then Chris for the Love saying, Mike Davis is my Catskills guy. My brother used to be his commentator for the amateurs. Davis is a good dude. Always got back to me anytime I reached out. Wish him a great outing. Yeah, I was talking about Mike Davis's background because that guy's got a high-level wrestling background. He was training at Customato's gym with, not with Mike Tyson because they were different times, but with Mike Tyson's trainer, Rooney, is what I understand, Chris. So I know Mike Davis, Mike Tyson, both Catskills guys, both trained at Customato's gym. And Davis is just one of these prospects that's got a phenomenal skill set. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Zach saying, what's the four-legger? It is going to be the over 2.5 rounds for Amari McKenna at minus 200. It is going to be fight doesn't go to decision for Davis versus Levy at plus 130, which is basically like a Davis inside the distance bet. Leg 3, the under 2.5 rounds for Dgeren versus Rodriguez at minus 115. Leg number 4, the fat leg that we can hedge out on in order to guarantee ourselves some profit is going to be the Kennedy and Checkwu money line, Zach. That comes out to plus 637 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Levy couldn't walk. That's why I'm betting the fight doesn't go to decision there. Okay, cool. Thank you, bro. Best of luck and have fun, says Dixon. Dixon saying, smash the like. Indigo saying, Battle used to be morbidly obese and lost the weight due to MMA. Not surprised that he has a hard time cutting weight. I just think I don't think that he necessarily has the worst time cutting weight. I just think he cuts to a weight that's not healthy for him. So I think that we're always going to see Bryan Battle looking drained and sucked out on weigh-in day. He sat right there at the table and took fluids for like 15 minutes. Very unusual. Well, I mean, you never know. The fight might even get called off. He might not be medically cleared to fight. And then Chris saying, exactly, on Customato's crew always came up to spar with us. They were always on point there. Yeah, I mean, you would have to think, right? I mean, an absolute legend. Rest in peace, Customato. I know he died a long time ago, but he was a father figure to Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson never had anything but glowing words to say about him. And my guy Rotten Randy saying, enjoy the sunshine. I'm going to do exactly that, you guys. 23 of you live hanging out in here with your Uncle Weezy. Smash that like, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment down below, and please consider joining the Patreon where you get access to the phenomenal stats that you see on my shows here every single week, the matchup stats, the prop template, and the individual fighter stats as well. So join the Patreon, support the work. Good luck on all your bets this weekend. Let's stack cashed tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 88. God bless each and every one of you. And we will check you on Sunday night, 6:15 Central Time on Pub Sports Radio with my guy DFS by the numbers for Stat Diggers for the next card, which is going to be UFC Vegas 89, headlined by Manon Fiorot up against Rose Namajunas. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the fights, and we'll talk to you soon.